right, good people, we're back here for episode 22 of The Walking Dead, the final season, season 11. And this episode is titled Faith. Now, as always, folks, if this is your first time checking me out, and for the folks that's returning, how you do? It's non-spoiler. Here to get you hyped, here to get you excited, and things you can expect in this week's episode. Folks, please stop asking me for spoilers. I'm not giving you spoilers. Don't DM me, don't email me, none of that. It's non-spoiler because I want you to have the same enjoyment that I have when I check it out. So going into this episode 22, man, I got a few questions here. First off, we know that each episode starts off with a callback to one character, and we just focus on some of their iconic moments, and this week's is Negan. And if you didn't know, it's also narrated by Judith. And to me, it's interesting because now I'm starting to wonder who's going to get the final episode. I'm really, really interested in who is going to get the final episode. We got Negan right now. We've already had Carol. We already had Daryl. I'm just wondering, and we had Maggie last week. I'm just wondering who will get the final one. And I don't know, predictions? Let me know in the comments here. But yeah, this week we get Negan, and some of his best moments in the show were some moments where people stopped watching the show. You know exactly what I'm getting at here. But nonetheless, it's been a journey for Negan, especially to considering where he's at now. But yeah, we're starting off this episode with a Negan-based episode, starting off with Negan, as Negan is still slaving. But by all means, Negan is doing whatever he can to protect his wife. And at some point, we eventually know that Negan's definitely going to stop playing fair. It's but so much he's going to be able to take. And with that too, all of the Walking Dead family, both on the outside, both on the inside, everyone is trying to figure out their plans. What's next? And then we got Aaron in the crew, and they have a pleasant surprise. And actually, I had thought about this happening, and yeah, so they get a pleasant surprise. And also, they get news about Oceanside. And, we know about what's happening in the Oceanside, but Aaron and them didn't. So finally, they know all about it and what the Commonwealth has been up to. And Lydia, Lydia has a cool idea that may save everybody, at least everybody with them. And the reason I even bring this up is because this idea that Lydia has, I started to think it was going to go another way. I thought this was going to go another way, and I actually think it should have went another way. It would have been really cool. When you see it, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about here. Eugene gets his day in court, and along with that, Yumiko, obviously his lawyer, defending him. We have Pamela, who I'm pretty sure we all know has a lot of words in court as well. And that's going to make a lot of people divided. Anywho, back to Negan. Negan is definitely weighing his pros and cons, trying to figure out what he can do to the protection of his wife. And now we're introduced to the warden of this little camp that they got with all these prisoners and whatnot. And the warden comes to Negan and he says, "You look like the leader. And there's definitely a traitor amongst us, and I need you to figure that out." So there's some interesting ultimatums kind of thrown at one another here. And I think it's really important to realize that Negan would do anything for his wife and kids. And quite frankly, this episode has a theme of folks will do anything for their kids. Just remember that. Mercer will play a big part into this episode, but I believe he may have to do some soul searching. So you kind of got to see and maybe hope and see how it all may play out. I think that, Mercer could be a game changer. It just all depends if he can tap into his inner soul and come off of his soldier stance and do the right thing, Maggie, on the other hand, is still struggling with being a mom, but Carol understands because Carol also had a very interesting journey in being a mom numerous times while, post-apocalyptic world. And so if anybody can relate, it would be Carol, but they, again, have a good scene, much like we did in last week's episode. Ezekiel and Negan, couldn't talk about them last week, but here we are again, still ain't playing fair with one another. And they definitely exchange bombs to one another. Very, very hitting below the belt. Not nice at all. Now, folks, this is at the part of this review that I really want you to sit back and get excited for. The last 10 minutes of this episode is on another level. And I mean, so much happens in the last 10 minutes of this episode that I actually thought that there wasn't enough time. Because so much was happening, I thought, okay, this sequence is going to happen, and then that's it. They jam so many moments that will put you at the edge of your seat in the last 10 minutes. I'm telling you, the emotional roller coaster, the cheering, the uneasiness, it's a lot that goes on. And I gotta say, I'm gonna be honest. The first part of the 10 minutes, this last part of this episode, I was a little disappointed because I started to think my emotional connection to what was happening would have been a lot more dire, and things would have been a lot more intense if they had not announced spinoffs. Because it gets crazy. And I'm not going to make reason to what I'm saying, but I'm just saying that if there had not been any spinoffs announced, I don't know how I would have felt in the last 10 minutes. I probably would have just been, and I was really already holding my breath, but I mean, I wouldn't have sighed at all. But it was still intense. Now everyone look at it, it was intense. I definitely held my breath, but I think like it would have been just a lot more drastic if there had not been spinoffs announced. But yeah, and I almost lost it. Like when I say almost lost it, emotionally, I almost lost it. Like, oh my God. And I think it's really important because like the world is broken and truly it doesn't have to be. You know, there is potential for humanity to rise again. And I think that's another really important theme in this episode is like tapping into that inner human. I know that we're in this post-apocalyptic world sort of, and things are starting to become a little bit barbaric, but there's still a lot of human left in all of us. And I think that's like a very important thing that these characters and us as the viewers are really going to have to sit back and assess, you know? But yeah, oh my God, man. Oh my God. The ending, man, I really just jumped out of my seat. It was just so much going on. I was cheering. It was some really good feel-good moments. And even with all the positivity, everything wasn't well. Did anybody say variance? And did anybody say, oh, Negan? More of the story is do not play when it comes to anybody's kids. That's just the bottom line. And lastly, my favorite quote of this episode, it's time to fuck shit up. Folks, jump in the comments. Let me know your excitement, your hype for this week's episode. We're in episode 22 of season 11. This episode is Faith. You have got to check this one out. This one's super special. Super special. You're not ready for what's to come. And there's so much happening. And while this episode is fantastic, man, that last 10 minutes is something else. Jump in the comments, folks. Let me know your thoughts about it. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon. Big Go Bell.